Hi everyone, it's Rax bringing you another Diablo 4 video. One thing that I have been asked a million times is what I would recommend players to level up on World Tier 1 or 2. There have been some videos going around where a lot of people have said where World Tier 1 is way better and World Tier 2 is a trap. And people want my opinion on it, so here we go. I think for 90% of people, it is going to be far better for you to level up on World Tier 1. And I'm going to explain to you why. Before we get into the whys, though, let me make a couple comments about this decision just in general. First of all, no one can tell you how to have fun or how to have fun on your first playthrough of the game. If you want to cruise through the game and just make it easy, and what people usually mean when they ask me that question is, which one is more efficient? Well, the answer is usually World Tier 1, and that's where we'll get to in a second. But it's your first playthrough of Diablo 4. You're probably going to play through it a million more times, on different seasons or whatever. Play whatever is fun to you, and me or no other YouTuber or content creator can dictate that for you. Another thing is you can switch world tiers all the time. Not only you could log out and switch world tiers that way. Another way is if you port to Kyovashad and go to the top, there's a statue. Click on the statue and you can switch it there again. So unless you're playing hardcore, where it's literally a life or death situation, you can move back and forth as you see fit. But let's understand the differences between the two and why World Tier 1 is better. So T1 versus T2. First of all, you get 20% more XP, and you get, I think it's 20% more gold. It's not 20%, it's something. Then another major question is the drops. Are the drops better on T2? And from everything that I've understood and from all the conversations that I've had, the answer to that is no. It's not better. It does get better in T3 when you get uniques and sacred, but I don't think there's a difference between these two introductory levels going in the campaign. There is some weird shenanigans where the level discrepancy between yourself and the monster can be larger at T2, which could result in better drops or something like that, but that shouldn't apply to you on a normal playthrough. So for all intents and purposes for this video, unless I'm completely wrong, the answer is no, the drops aren't better. So you can turn this into a math equation. The math equation would simply be, well, if it's more than 20% faster on T1 than T2, then T1 would just simply be better. If you're trying to be efficient, everything in T1 or T2 doesn't matter at all anyway. Again, you can't get the uniques and you can't get the higher tiered items, the sacreds, the ancestrals, stuff like that. And certain items are going to be gated behind getting to the end game quickly. I have played through on both difficulties multiple times in various stages of the game. And one thing to understand about Diablo 4's development is very early on, the game was much easier. The skills were way more powerful. The public is starting to see they keep getting nerfed. That's because Blizzard wants to start with the initial vanilla difficulty to be pretty high. Not only in terms of the monsters are difficult to kill, but in terms of you can't get a ton of power. I think in general, this is a good philosophy. Because then you have stuff like Diablo 3 where you hit for 5 quintillion damage. If you have a very high base, you're going to get there much quicker. So the game, patch by patch by patch, has been made harder. And so when comparing these two, T1, there's a line in there where it says monsters are like more aggressive. Let's call it monsters are smarter. And I'm telling you, this makes a huge difference. When they are perpetually attacking you, it feels way, way more dangerous on T2. So the monsters are smarter, that's bad, and the monsters have more health. That's also bad. In comparing these two recently, on the latest patch, there's going to be a day one patch. I don't know if that's going to reverse everything. I can do T1 way faster than 20%. Then a 20% buff on T2, depending on the class. Classes like barbarians and druids with nothing I would go T1 all day long. It's just, even if you're a God gamer, God gamer or not, just the amount of time it takes to kill the bosses is quite ridiculous on T2. But if you're going like sorcerer and you got your chain lightning build and your arc lash, or you got a rogue and maybe you have the twisting blades power and you're just literally shredding, you might not even notice a difference. If you don't notice a difference, then it's obviously better to go on T2. You just get these buffs for no reason. Or for no penalty is a better way to say it. Another big question is groups. A lot of people are leveling with a friend or with a buddy for the first time. Groups may be able to do T2 much better. In general, the synergy of players playing together is usually a lot stronger than anybody individually. So groups, you should at least try on T2, play for a while, and if it's too hard, you can turn it down at the statue. Another thing to understand about the game, which is probably obvious if it wasn't already, but the game gets harder. And I'm not talking about the game gets harder in terms of T1 or T2. I'm saying if you stay T2 in Act 1 and you said, well, I slayed T2 in the server slam, of course it's going to be face roll the whole time. Not necessarily. It's going to get harder. So that's another thing that you have to consider. In general, I don't think this is a super important decision. The only thing that I would say is if you do start on T2 and you're just starting to get ravaged, it's just time to turn it down. Unless, back to the first point, if you're trying to have fun. If you want it to be as hard as possible, if you want to hit bosses that you literally can't kill and be like, you want to know what? I got to go level up, I got to go farm some gear, and I got to come back and I got to play better, I got to learn the mechanics, and then we're going to try it again. If that's fun for you, by all means. I'm not going to hold it against you. If your question is how do you efficiently get through the game, T1 is a fantastic choice. You're barely going to lose anything. You're going to get to that capstone dungeon. The capstone dungeon has fixed difficulty and you have to do it on T2. So you just have to get powerful enough to get to that dungeon anyway. Maybe if you rip through the campaign, try it, maybe you clear it, but maybe you don't. Then you can start farming at a higher level. You're probably going to get better stuff to help you get through that capstone dungeon anyway than if you were struggling at some of the later levels, getting low-level gear just to progress, which isn't going to help you on the capstone dungeon's fixed difficulty anyway. That's my take on it. I would pretty much recommend Tier 1 for 90% of players, but at the end of the day, make the decision for yourself. Last question, people ask what I'm going to do. I'm going to play with a group, so we will probably try T2, but we already discussed if we're getting any sass whatsoever and we wipe one time where the bosses can kill us, it's just not worth it. Every death is going to cost you a lot of time, and it just makes T1 a better option. That's what I'm doing, guys. Many more videos are coming. Here comes an avalanche of build guides for you. Thank you.